right, friends, welcome to Family Karma Kast. This is a special week because Cousin Mary is here. Deanna is not joining us because we have a lot to discuss about The Bachelorette, and she didn't watch the season and is rightfully just a little confused about what's going on.
I'm confused and I did watch it, so.
Yeah, I know. So, Cousin Mary always has the good tea. This show, like, we were watching it and Patrick was like, why do you like this show? And I'm
like, it's hard to put into words.
Do.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a girl I got on TikTok today, and I wish I saved it because she wrote her thesis on why liberal women love a show that's catered to a conservative fan base. And like how the thing we love like the most about it is dissecting it and getting mad at it. So it's like, and she's like, I basically got this idea because I was like, every season I'm like, I'm not fucking watching. And I'm doing that with Zach. And I said it to my sisters. I was like, I'm not watching. And they were like, you are. You're obviously going to.
I mean, it's true though. Like Zach is the most boring pick ever for Bachelor.
Even Ari felt less out of left field than this. I don't understand like at all. I'm like, what the?
He's not attractive.
And his voice is so grating to me. Like it's like this, it's like he's doing an impression of his uncle, Patrick Warburton, the guy. It sounds like he's doing like an impression of him. And it's like, you can't really pull it off because he's like the OG of that like gravelly like voice, and it just feels like he's faking it when he does it.
It's funny that like he calls out Rachel during the season for being fake when it's like you have a fakeness going on yourself, my friend. But also, like, it's just so clear to me that they've had a really bad run of bachelors.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, Peter, Matt James, and in terms of, like, engagement rate.
Yeah, in terms of what the show wants,
Yeah, Colton, like, all of these, like.
Yeah, even Ari, like, like, he picked somebody and then he broke up with her and then picked Lauren. And I was wondering why Sean Lowe was there. And then I realized it's like they're trying to usher in the next generation of Sean Lowe. And I'm just kind of like, I don't think he would work anymore as a bachelor. Like, I think that we've moved past this like Christian, I mean, maybe I just have like this like super, like the virgin thing, like the G shucks kind of nice guy vibe that's only funny after you get to know him. Like, I just feel like Bachelor, we've moved past that. But clearly we haven't, so we're back.
Well, I think it's got me thinking about like the types of contestants we see, particularly when it's like a group of men. And we've seen this a lot on this season is like there's the guys who are like, yes, I'll get engaged at all costs, like Tino.
Yeah.
Then there's the guys who are like genuinely like ready for engagement and want marriage and stuff. And like Sean falls into that, and I think Zach does too. And then there's this whole generation of people, not just men, who are like, I don't know if I want to get engaged after 8 weeks.
And I think like this one felt so, what was I going to say? This one felt just so short, I think, for them that it was like an extra thing that I just feel like maybe they picked Zach because they know he's going to get engaged and he was so gung-ho about it.
Yes.
But
like that man will be engaged by the end of his season.
He's gonna like, and he's gonna do like the actual exact format. Like I almost feel like it's like a reset to the old school format of like rose ceremony every single week, mild drama, but nothing like out of the actual format. And I just think more and more that I have multiple thoughts about the engagement. I just think either the show needs to get away from it.
Yeah.
Or the contestants need to like come to the realization that it's not like real world engaged. If you get engaged at the end of the it's like, let's date.
But they're like Neil Lane gave you the ring. Like,
it's like, and then, Gabby has my ring, but obviously bigger. I was like, if Neil Lane is designing it now, I'm like, oh, is this ugly?
No. Your ring looks like that?
Yeah. So. I don't have it on right now, but it's, they both had Like just a
I thought
simple
her ring was
solitaire.
gorgeous, I have to say. I usually
so
hate them, and I loved hers.
I was so surprised.
I mean, I think it's just like, you know, like obviously like marriage is not outdated in our society. People get married all the time. You're engaged to be married.
Yeah.
Like it's like the majority of people I know who are in long-term relationships will get married. So it's not like that's out of the question.
No.
But it's like, to me, the contestants I always like the most on these shows are the ones who question this super fast engagement. I'm like, I think it's actually a good thing and says a lot about Gabby that her last 3 guys were all like, I'm not sure if I can do this.
I think I'm like of two minds about it though, where I'm like, yeah, it's good that they're sane and they're like, oh, we shouldn't be getting engaged. But I'm also like, it's the fucking show. Just like do it. But I also am like, I think that you're crazy if you get engaged after that long. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It just feels, this shift was weird, that it was like multiple guys on both sides saying that they weren't ready for an engagement. And Gabby's was so consistently throughout the men that I was worried that the producers had like put them up to it because of Gabby's whole like past of not feeling loved. And since they amp it up, like this ring means love, and then that's the thing that you go for, I'm just a little worried that the producers were like putting doubts in these guys' heads, whereas they usually are like, oh no, you 100% want to do this, they're amazing, you want to get married to them. I'm worried that for the sake of making Gabby spiral the way that she did, they talked all the guys into just being like, oh, maybe this isn't a good idea, like maybe you need more time. Like,
oh my God, I mean, I really hope not, because that's like kind of evil.
Yeah, but
and like this woman has been through so much to begin with. Like, yeah, but I think it was more a function of time. They tried to fit 2 love stories into a season that's already pretty short.
Yeah,
like all things considered, and these men are just like, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know you.
Like, yeah, I don't know this person like at all, and obviously, based on what's come out about Eric, they don't know the guys either. Like, they don't.
Oh,
I know.
Can we talk about Eric? Because I just don't know what to think. I do think he is genuinely in love with Gabby,
for sure,
and they are like happy together. I actually do think that.
Yeah, I think she can do. I'm projecting a lot onto Gabby because I really liked her. So I'm like, oh, you can do better. Like, you want better. You want someone that's like not going to do these kinds of things. But like, I don't know her. She could decide that all these things are not a deal breaker. But I'm like, so like separating the two, it's like, yeah, they seem really cute together. They seem really happy. But I can't root for them because it's like, I love Gabby. I want her to be with someone cool.
Yeah. Okay. So for listeners who may not know, I mean, I think hopefully we at least know one because they addressed it on the show, which is these texts that he had to this girl that he was seeing before the show. And they really were trying to make him look good in this because they did not show all of the texts.
Yes.
Which is very important to note. They only showed the part at the end where he was saying, like, I understand if you don't want to be with me because I'm doing this. And it's like a opportunity for me, which I wish he had just owned up to the facts that he did think that he was skeptical about the process.
Because Caitlin Bristow
and then he met Gabby and fell in love.
That would be like Caitlin Bristow said the same thing. When she went on The Bachelor, she was like, I'm bored with my job. I want to be famous. Like, I want to do something cool. And then it ended up, working out temporarily, and she was an amazing Bachelorette. So it's like, why not just, we don't have to think that you're all there for the right reasons and whatever, and then that's it.
It's like it was so clearly that was fed to him being like, oh, I just knew that I wanted out of the relationship and I was a coward. And I'm like, well, then what they didn't show you were all of these texts that he sent her that were like, I miss you so much. Yeah. Like,
I think about you all the time.
Back. Like, it was definitely like, this is not a man who is like, I'm over it.
No. And even if he's not interested in her, it's not a guy that's ready to give up the attention and just have the attention of one person. Like, he's still, even if he doesn't have genuine feelings for this girl, he still wants that like outside validation, which I think is also super harmful, because it's like you can get validated in other parts of your life, but if you're flirting with someone else because you want like more attention, I don't think you're ready to commit to one person, and like that's fine, but then don't. Like then don't drag someone else into it.
And I mean, the only saving grace was that he addressed it with Gabby before anyone knew about it, which
she handled it really well.
To me is like, that's a green flag. That's a good thing. And she did seem genuinely like okay with what they had discussed. And that's her choice. She's the one in the relationship, and like, okay, I can get past that. The other stuff is when he dressed up in like the most offensive blackface I think I've ever seen.
It was so full coverage. Like it was coverage. It was like almost, I mean, it was like minstrel show. The level of blackface that he had on. I saw it and I was like, I could not believe it. A yearbook published that in 2011. So Eric and I are the same age.
Yeah, and he's from New Jersey. I don't know what part.
He's from Bethminster, and it is like Trump County there. It's like half of a Trump golf course and whatever out there. So it's not that unexpected, but I also was a senior in college in 2011, and not a person came to school in blackface. Not a single one. And let alone did the yearbook publish the picture of it. Like that is so, I think, I mean, I'm from a very liberal town, so maybe it's different, but like my school would have kicked someone out. So, and we're acting like 2011 is so long ago, and it's like, Eric and I are almost 30. It's not that long ago.
No, that's not.
So on the Rose Pod today, they kept saying, during Obama, you're doing blackface? Like they kept being like, Obama era blackface?
That is a really good point. Like, I'm thinking like even 10 years before that, you would see more of that shit potentially, but definitely not like just 10 years ago.
No, definitely no. And it's just, it was just so... And then that combined with the pictures of his friends at SantaCon with Trump hats
with
on
MAGA
it.
hats.
And it's like, SantaCon takes place in New York City. You know what you're doing, but you're going out of your way to wear the hat somewhere where he's strongly disliked. And it's like that defiance to it shows the loyalty to him. Like you're not just a passive Trump voter. If you're willing to wear this hat into New York City, then you are like making a statement about your loyalty to him. Yes. And he wasn't wearing one in the picture, but so many of the guys were that I'm just like, there's no way that he's, you know, the one. I don't know. I
would not want to be pictured. Even if I silently voted for Trump,
not want to be pictured with it.
I would not want to be pictured with people with MAGA hats. Like,
no, and just I don't know. Yeah, I get that they weren't going to bring it up on. They weren't. I understood that they weren't going to bring that up because so much of Bachelor Nation is MAGA, and so they're not gonna bring it up. But and Jesse would have fumbled the conversation about blackface. Of course, he would have done a terrible job.
Oh my God, I don't even
want to think
it would have done more. It would have done more harm, probably.
Right, but I don't think that's an excuse not to address it like at all. And I appreciated Becca's comment being like, "Hey, I went through something similar."
I think this was Becca's most shining moment ever.
Oh, well, 100%.
In anything.
Yeah.
Because she was like, you need to make sure your morals line up with one another.
And
Gabby was like, yeah.
And she's not with the guy. So it's like, that's... Well, Caitlin was saying...
I'm just assuming Gabby is like a liberal good person.
She's from Denver. She's like half Mexican and no, she's like a quarter Mexican, a quarter Native American. Like but then her dad's in the army. So I don't know, but I just was assuming just based on how she talks about herself and how she carries herself that she would have like a similar, I don't know, like her belief in therapy always rings liberal to me. So I just am kind of like, okay, well.
I know, I'm like, it just seems like, I was also surprised to see that Eric was that.
Me too.
Because he doesn't seem like that. I don't know. I mean, obviously we don't know him at all, but it's like it's just of all the people like on the season, he wasn't someone that I would be like, oh, that guy's definitely a Trump supporter.
I would have guessed like Zach over him. I wouldn't have guessed like
Same.
I wouldn't have guessed. Yeah. I mean, maybe still, who knows? But I just I don't know. It just makes me feel gross. It feels like Garrett repeating itself. I think Becca was right to say that. Caitlin Bristow was basically like, the three of us, because she was sitting with Michelle and Becca, she thought the three of them were there to talk Gabby through the blackface photo, the political beliefs not being aligned. And then I don't know why Caitlin thought she was there, but I think that I think Caitlin was there maybe because of the two Bachelorette thing. And I'm glad that they didn't force Michelle to have a conversation with him about it, because that's not fair, and that's what they would do to Rachel Lindsay. But
absolutely,
just to not bring it up at all feels even worse. I don't know. I'm just so grossed out by it. I can't.
The Bachelor. How do you say it?
The Bachelorettes. Yeah,
it's so hard to say. You should check out their Instagram and social media, because they've had some really great commentary, as has Rachel Lindsay, about their lack of accountability for this really important thing. And it's just a lot. It's just like a lot of not great stuff coming out about Eric. And I just want more for Gabby. Like, I see why she's into him. Like, he is hot.
Yeah.
He's very, like, there's something, like, sexy about him. And, like, she's into it.
I definitely got it until that stuff, like, came out. Like, I think if I didn't know all that stuff, that would have been an engagement that made me cry. Like, it 100% would have gotten me. I would have been, like, fully wrapped up in it.
Because it seemed really real. Like,
and I think they do love each other. And that's like the big bummer is like, she either doesn't give a shit, which is a bummer, or she's compromising part of herself to be with him, which is also like a huge bummer.
Oh my God, I know.
I've said bummer like 12 million times. Another
it is a bummer. That's what it is. Like, this whole season is such a bummer.
It just is. Like, the way it ended for both of them is just such a bummer.
Oh
like,
my God.
And then another bummer is that the Bachelorettes commented on Eric's apology post and said, like, the apology is appreciated. Please check out the letter we wrote to you. And he ghosted them. So it's like, we shouldn't be demanding that Black people always educate us on the ways that we're fucking up as white people. And by we, I mean, me and my fellow whites. And, but when someone reaches out and offers you that guidance through it, fucking take it. Like, they put themselves out there to really thoughtfully explain the ways that it's harmful and the ways that he could really be proactive about his anti-racism in the future. And he just ignored them. And it's like, that sucks.
And that's where the MAGA stuff comes in. And it's like, it feels very performative. Like, his apology was very on point and said all the right things. Yeah. But if that's it, then what was really going on there? Did you just have a really good PR person who's learned a lot over the last few years put that together for you? Probably.
Definitely.
I don't know. I really have a soft spot in my heart for Gabby. I want her to be happy.
Me too.
That part of her family date with her aunt, when she was talking about her mom again and feeling like maybe there's so much pain in that whole thing for her. And how real it was in that moment and everything. I'm just like, I really hope Eric can treat you the way that you deserve to be treated. Yeah. And everybody loves you. Yeah. I think she's one of the most universally loved Bachelor. I actually have not heard anyone say anything bad about her.
No, the most people can say is, yeah. That's all people can say is the yeah. But other than that, it's
she says a lot. And it's
that's all she says.
But that's actually a good thing. Yeah. Because she tries to listen to people.
Yeah, it's active listening. The people who complain about it are mostly men because they don't understand how to actively listen. And so they don't.
God.
And so people complaining about it are like, oh, it feels like she's not listening. And I'm like, no, she's 100% there. It's just something that she says.
I know. It was funny when she was doing it during Eric's engagement.
Yeah.
I was like, Gabby, be quiet.
She can't quit. It's so funny.
I mean, that's like the most you can say negative about her. Like I think Caitlyn was really universally loved, but there was criticism of her.
Yeah, I think in our circle she was very loved, but I think there was like she was getting death threats. So there was like a large portion of the country that was so mad at her for having sex and like...
That part didn't bother me.
No.
But I'm not a huge Caitlyn stan. Yeah. I don't have a like undying love for her.
Yeah.
For various reasons, but I do like her.
Mm-hmm.
I do. Anyway, I hope the best for Gabby. I hope she wins Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, me too. But unfortunately,
she's fabulous in everything she wore this season.
Her body is just like unreal. Like she is just like, she's all legs. She's just like so cute. She's so cute. Like, and yeah, the only reason she wouldn't win Dancing with the Stars is Charlie D'Amelio, like TikTok royalty is on there. Oh shit, my tray's falling.
Who I did not know who that was until you told me.
Oh yeah.
It's like this is a whole like TikTok family or something. I'm like, I don't know what this is.
The D'Amelios are all really famous. It's all crazy.
Okay, so now we have to talk about Tino.
I was hysterically laughing during that whole breakup.
It was actually comical because
I was crying. I couldn't form words at parts of it. It was one of the funniest things I've seen in a long, long, long time.
I mean, the look of just like complete. It wasn't even like shock. It was just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I just pictured Tino with just like a blank tape running through his head. Like, he just had no idea what was going on.
Had never been called out for anything his entire life. And watching it just like crash down on him. And, okay, so first of all, I'm bored of the people in Bachelor Nation that are like, oh, this was so cruel. I can't believe they did that to him.
Oh, my
Only
God.
scrawny little white men get that type of forgiveness to act like a cheater and act like a dick. And then we don't embarrass them on TV. I'm sorry. It had to come to this. Tino was not going to ever learn his lesson. He continued to belittle Rachel. And it's her fucking show. So they need to give her a good ending because ultimately it's her season. And so I
also don't think he was embarrassed. I think he was just, it looked a little embarrassing maybe.
But he didn't know what was going on. No, he didn't know what was going on.
He's an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he is not a very smart person.
Should we set the stage for people who didn't watch it? Because it really is like... It was, first of all, the engagement was so devoid of any emotion ever.
Oh,
both
my
of them.
God. Which is on brand for all of Rachel's relationships, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's just this very like Disney princess kind of like
happy ever after, but really we have like nothing in common or anything good going here.
I felt like we heard her real voice at After the Final Rose, and I was like, if this was Rachel the whole fucking season, this would have been way more tolerable. And I'm just like, she's actually using her real voice. She's standing up for herself and like got out of whatever bubble she was in when she was just obsessed with Tino. Yeah. So he proposes.
Proposes.
He comes to her house with a notebook of all of her crimes against him. Just listing
his journal, his quote unquote journal.
And then he goes,
which was really just like, she said this mean thing to me. Let me write all these mean things
all
she
on
said
the first
to me.
page. So he had just clearly written it down before he got there. Like was writing in the Uber, was just scribbling it down. And then he goes, I don't want to keep dredging up the past. But by the way, here's a notebook of everything you've ever done wrong in our entire relationship.
I know. Oh my God. That was unreal.
The audacity. Like I could not. Yeah. We were watching, and then his face when she would call him out, it was like, oh my God, it was so satisfying. Like
it was so cringe.
It was crazy. And then my favorite part that really, really got me is when he's outside trying to get his mic off. And his shirt is fully open because he's trying to rip his mic off. And she comes up to him and she goes, "Oh, are you escaping?" And he goes, "No, what do you mean?" And he's just trying with one hand to subtly rebutton his shirt to cover the fact that he was trying to take his shirt off to get his mic off.
I saw some incredible memes of that shot of him with his shirt in hand, like whatever. And it was like the guiltiest person ever on Bachelor Nation.
He's like, "What do you mean?" And he's all sweaty. Like, he just...
Oh my God.
I've never seen someone's physical appearance crumble the way that it did. Because I think the last time we were recording the podcast, we were like, yeah, he is kind of hot. And then the end, we were
it's
just
all
like,
gone.
It's all gone. He just never... Someone said that he looks like a sketch artist tried to draw Justin Trudeau from memory.
Well, it's like it's really like a perfect case of like this guy would be decent looking if he wasn't such a piece of shit.
Yeah,
it's
just like, yeah, it really is fun. I don't know. Yeah, it's just funny how your brain shifts when someone just starts acting like a dick, where all of a sudden I couldn't even find him attractive, like, at all. In the whole situation. And
I do think one thing that bothered me is this whole like girl power go Rachel thing, because I think she was being pretty intolerable in the whole exchange as well. Like, I agree it was nice to hear her speak in her real voice and like show some real emotion for once. But I also think that like everyone's being like, this is what real gaslighting is in terms of Tino, which is true. But I think Rachel was also laying it on pretty thick with her own version of gaslighting, too. And I think that, like, they'll never work because they're never going to be able to, like, trick one another enough, I think, because they're both so stubborn. But it didn't reflect great on me the way Rachel approached it.
Yeah.
And they were, like, trying to make it this whole, like, you go, girl moment. And I was like, I'm not impressed with this person. Yeah,
still. That's because that's what the producers don't know what like real empowerment looks like. So they're like, any modicum of it, they're like, oh my God. But I did appreciate when she was like, do you want to go there? And this is someone has a theory online, so with a grain of salt, about what's going on.
Okay, so she said, do you want to go there? And they referenced that like bringing up something personal that led to the first part of their problems in their relationship. And they never said what it was. But so what is the theory that you heard?
Someone thinks, and I'm saying this very lightly because I'm not making a joke of it at all. Someone thinks that Rachel was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at some point during this process.
Someone's like watching the show?
Watching the show was pretty much like, she's demonstrating signs of bipolar disorder that someone who had gone through it themselves was like, this is when I got my diagnosis. So the erratic, canceling the highs and lows of the emotions, the putting on the fairy tale kind of thing. Someone basically said that this is like that's how they got their diagnosis. And so when they kept saying, oh, but you didn't want to go to therapy, you didn't want to go. He never said it was couples therapy. I think it was therapy for this recent diagnosis. And she was exhausted, so she didn't want to go. And so he was flipping that back on her. And when she said, do you want to go there? She thought that he was going to reveal that about her. And he would look like the ultimate villain of all time if he came forward and was like, oh, if someone was like, oh, you revealed someone else's mental illness on TV, because they couldn't stop that one from coming out, but they didn't air them talking about it on the couch. The other theory is that he was like bad in bed and he had like, ED, but I'm like, I don't think that would be I think she would have just said it. I think that if it's a mental health diagnosis for either of them, I think it's like way more serious and they would just try to round it a little bit more lightly.
Yeah, I don't think I heard the like ED thing and they definitely had sex in the fantasy suite,
definitely,
right? Like,
definitely.
So I could see Rachel overlooking that to get engaged and then it turning into an issue potentially. But I don't know. I just don't feel like that would be it. That is, the bipolar thing is really interesting, like,
yeah, I think it puts to light a
because
lot.
it does sort of line up with some of the things they were saying.
And I think like with her speaking with her real voice on TV, I just feel like that could be the cause of like a lot of time in therapy and really identifying like the ways that she actually wants to express herself.
Yeah.
But like I've never been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I'm just going off of what someone on Reddit has said about their own diagnosis, that they in Rachel freaking out, they saw a lot of like themselves before they had a diagnosis, and they kept mentioning therapy, and I don't think Tino's like a guy to be like gung ho about therapy and suggesting that they go. And he really only talked about it like you didn't go, not we didn't go.
I noticed that, and I was like, why aren't we talking about couples therapy here?
Yeah, we definitely weren't.
It was a different kind of therapy. That to me is the most compelling thing, because, and then he said something about going to therapy himself as well. But I mean, I don't know if we'll ever know.
Not unless she decides to write a book or something like every other lead has. I feel like that would be where it would come out, but I don't think that would be for a few years. And if she, if that's even true and if that's something she even wants to talk about. But I think once someone said that, I was like, this is really clicking a lot more. Just like their conversation and some of her behaviors throughout, I think really align with that.
That's really interesting. Like, like you, I can't speak from any sort of experience about it personally. So I would love to read what that person who has gone through.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find
something similar. Because I think that those are the only types of stories that we could really take with any sort of seriousness and this type of thing. Wow. I mean, I was sort of like, what is going on right now?
I know, the whole time I was like, well, now I'm dying to know. Like, I'm dying to know what you guys are talking about. And I think just like, Bachelor Nation is never going to cut out something. They wouldn't hide ED. They would air that out. They don't give a shit. They would air out if they had problems in the bedroom. They wouldn't air out a mental health diagnosis because they've mishandled something like ADHD before. And ADHD is way less stigmatized than bipolar disorder. And so I think that they just wouldn't tread into there. And I think that would be one thing that they would cut, because I bet that part of the conversation was like super compelling and really got to the bottom of their fight. And so they would have loved to show it, but it had to be something serious like this for them not to talk about it.
Yeah. And she did talk about how like I was really low.
Yeah.
That weekend and whatever. She was using some terminology that like, could it be, I don't know. It just seemed like it came out of left field, kind of.
Yeah, and she got really, really angry really quickly when he started
defensive.
When he started hinting at it, like she was, she wasn't even just angry. She seemed scared that he was going to bring something up that, like, everyone has to go on their own journey, regardless of what it is. Whatever happened to her, everyone has to reveal something personal like that or not reveal it on their own time. And she looked scared, like he was going to come out and like reveal something about her. So if this is true, I'm all the more happy that he got embarrassed like a little baby back bitch that he is. And
baby back bitch.
I know. Ethan. Yeah, he posted a story that was like, told you, #BBB. I'm like, there he goes. There he goes.
I love that man. Me too. I don't think he's going to be on Paradise, but I wish he would be.
Me too. He hasn't taken a social media break, so I don't think he is. And neither is Nate.
I mean, Tino has so much growing up to do, to the point that I just don't even know if he will ever be ready for a relationship. Like, he cheated on Rachel. Yeah. It's unclear the extent of what happened, but at least there was a kiss or something.
Yeah, and he called it a little thing.
I know. And it's like, that is not for you to say. Like,
and he kept trying to blame her for it.
This is Rachel's experience.
Like, the way he was talking about it, it's like, oh, so you think every time we have a fight, you're allowed to go cheat on me?
Yeah, pretty much. And he just like couldn't even grasp why she was so upset about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, This is a big deal. Like, it's not like we're just dating either. You proposed to me.
Yeah.
We're engaged.
And we got engaged really fucking publicly. Like, I think Rachel's main trigger is embarrassment. And so, like, It was the same thing we saw with Avon, where it was like, oh my God, I told my parents this and you acted like this. And so it wasn't even that. I don't even think she necessarily wanted to get engaged to Avon. It was just more that she went out on a limb and told her parents that she was really ready and he was ready. And he embarrassed her, in quotes, by saying that he actually wasn't. And so I think it's like the embarrassment of like, I'm the fucking Bachelorette and you went to a bar and you made out with somebody and people know about it now.
Yeah. Now how does this reflect on me?
Yeah.
I think that, to me, that's just like a sign of... She's at a stage in her life where she cares more about what other people think about her than what she cares about, like, her own happiness, I think.
Yeah.
In some ways. And I think that that's, like, something we see in people who just need to... They have some maturing to do.
100%.
Like, in their, like, adult development. And she is young. She's 26. She's not, like... You know, like, and I was listening to the chatty bros who are the husbands of the chatty broads, or the husband and partner of the chatty broads, and Gray, who is Becca's boyfriend or fiance, he was like, I want some like 35-year-olds on this show who like are past all this bullshit. Like they're not like they're not like getting engaged and then going out to a bar and making out with someone else within weeks.
That's like why Gabby was such a breath of fresh air, is because I think she's 31 and like, that's the
she knows herself.
Yeah. And that's the most annoying thing about Zach, is we're going to get a bunch of 23-year-olds now again.
Oh my God.
And the franchise.
Okay, so you didn't watch the end, right?
No, I couldn't do it. And then the Rose Pod did not talk about it at all. So I was like,
okay, I'm going to talk about it for one second, because the only time that I've seen a more awkward like announcement on AFR was Hannah Brown, which was a total disaster. I mean, she didn't know what to say.
She couldn't
was
speak.
A mess.
Like, yeah.
And Zach seems like quite well. He's pretty poised most of the time, but he was definitely kind of at a loss for words, I think, in many ways. And like was embarrassed a little, I think. But they like brought out a fake mansion and introduced us to 5 girls, and then America got to vote on
I saw, like,
the first impression rose.
I like saw the beginning of it, and I just had to go.
The only good thing that came out of it is that actually the girl that I liked the most, America voted for.
Oh, good. All right. That at least confirms, like, we're not totally outliers in this whole thing.
Yeah. But, like, I mean, some of the first 5 ladies were pretty cringy. I was just like, and they were all 25 or under, I'm pretty sure. Ugh. And it's just like, I mean, that kind of works for like a Love Island or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm biased because I'm in my mid-30s and I want to see people who are at the same stage of life as me.
I just also
even though like if you're on this show, like you don't have kids, you don't, whatever. Or actually, that's
sometimes
not true.
You do.
That's not true.
This show, the original arc of the show before it became about here's the hottest people you've ever seen in your life trying to fall in love with each other, was like that the Bachelor, the Bachelorette legit was a good person, but had difficulty meeting somebody in public and had like tried and true effort to try to meet that person. And then it hasn't worked out, so they came on the show, and that was a whole experiment. So there were, like, some stakes there.
Yeah.
When there's a 22-year-old who's gorgeous, who's, super handsome, who's famous on social media, whose DMs are wide open, I just have and you're invited to Raya because you're an influencer. I have a hard time believing that it's difficult for you to find love. And I think that the show should go back to its roots in that way where, like, you're supposed to be saying, hey, normal America, this is this love story. Yeah. This could happen to you. But instead, like, I'm watching TV and I'm like, oh, the skinny and hot people get to fall in love again. Like, cool.
Yeah. Oh, great. Wonderful. Like, and yeah, I mean, that and like, it's also like we have to acknowledge that people know that they're getting on this show and it is an opportunity to like change your professional life and stuff. And like, that's the thing with Eric where I'm just like, can you just own up to that?
Yeah.
Like, no one is going to villainize you for admitting that. We all understand that is part of the show now. But like, yeah, like don't find someone who's already in that space.
Yeah. I just think like two things can be true. Like, you can go on for a job opportunity and try to find love. Like, this is the way that you're putting yourself out there to like find somebody. But if it doesn't work out, at least your consolation to yourself is that you got this exposure instead of the exposure being like the end goal, the way that it is now. So I don't know. I fear, and 22-year-olds can be lonely. I'm not trying to disregard that. Like,
for sure.
But it's not the same. And it's not, I don't need to see a 22-year-old and a 23-year-old fighting with each other because of a boy. I don't know. It just feels regressive to me.
Well, and I think it's also like, if the show wants to stick with like engagement and marriage at the end of 8 weeks, they need to have people on the show who are really ready for that.
Yeah.
And like early 20s folks are just not. Like,
no, and
our society has changed and people are getting married later and later. And so you need to like have the appropriate aged people for that type of thing to happen.
I also think like when you get a little bit older and you're dating, the process expedites. Like, you know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So it's like, I have friends that have started dating people, you know, when we're 28 or 29 and they're ready to move in together after like a year and they get engaged like shortly after. And so yes, the Bachelor 3 months is still like way shorter, but when you're older and you know what you're looking for, it's not that crazy to know after 3 months that I want to spend my life with this person and I've asked the right questions and I've done the right amount of digging. Like, Rachel Lindsay was an amazing Bachelorette because she took her fantasy suites to be like, what's your fucking credit score? Did you vote for Trump? Are you in debt? I'm not in debt. I'm not taking on debt. And she's married. So I just think they need more. Yeah. She was a unicorn, though. I don't think we're ever going to get her again.
No. And I mean, you know, you look at like these matchmaking shows and things like that. It's like like fast engagements and things like this happen all the time. It's just people need to be in the right mindset to do that sort of thing. And the people on the show are not. And I do think Zach, if there's any redeeming quality for him in this role, it's that he is ready for it. Like, he genuinely is like, I'm going to be Bachelor so that I can find a wife and get engaged and commit to this person fully. Like, I believe that from him.
I agree.
But so then they showed another BIP promo, Bachelor in Paradise, which I'm so excited about.
They're copying Love Island.
I know. That is what I wanted to talk about. Is the Casa Amor comes to BIP, except it looked to me like the girls get sent away and then new girls come in. But I don't think the girls who get sent away get new guys.
That's so fucked up.
I don't know if that's true, but they did not show any indication of them getting new guys.
I think Australia did that one season where they only gave the guys new girls and all the OG girls just like had to go home. So it just like... It just because they recoupled and they
all got rejected.
I don't know if they all did, but I think like an alarming number of OG girls got dumped for Casa Amor girls. And it's like, okay, that's fine, but it also has to be even. Like, this season of UK, so many of them came back with new partners, but like then they got to stay too because they also picked somebody.
Yes.
So if they do it that way, they're just proving that they don't give a shit about women. Like, they're saying the quiet part out loud.
And like the ultimate misogynistic move, if that happens. I'm pretty sure Victoria Fuller is going to be one of the new women that comes in because you could see her stirring some shit up.
I actually know the ending for her because they spoiled it by accident.
Do?
Yeah.
Okay, don't tell me.
I'm not going to tell you.
I want to know.
Just from being passive on social media, I've figured out 2 couples. That's how lazy they're getting with it. Yeah. They're getting so lazy with it. Yeah.
That's such a bummer.
Well, that's like when they showed Gabby's ring in the preview for the episode last night.
Like when she's chatting with Rachel,
and she's like,
she's just like, "Here's my ring.
Here's my massive ass oval ring." It's like, what?
I know. I was like, okay, so Gabby gets engaged and stays engaged.
Yeah, she's engaged with a happy couple. I'm like, I guess it's still kind of a surprise that they broke up after the text, but like, still, they spoiled the whole thing for themselves.
No, it was silly. It's just like. Yeah, I mean, and I know it's really hard to keep this stuff under wraps and not be spoiled and things, but it's like, come on, this is like your show, people.
Do a little bit better. Yeah. Do a little better with your own editing. Like, you can't really help if contestants are spotted together in the wild. Like, you can't really help that. Yeah. But in your own editing, like, they showed Johnny and a Bachelor in Paradise commercial like 2 weeks before he got cut. So it's like, what are we doing here?
I didn't catch that, but that is hilarious. Yeah, that's really funny.
Guys are getting so lazy.
I think they're really putting all their eggs in one basket a little bit with BIP
Paradise
because it is so. I mean, like Patrick, every time he sees a promo, he's like, "Now that is a good show."
I know. Ethan truly can't wait. Like, he's so bummed I'm away next week when it premieres because he's like, we could have had people over and like we could have hung out. I was like, I know, but
oh my gosh, if Ethan was here, I would say, come to our house and watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Okay, so some other things that are going on. You watched the Love is Blind After the Altar episodes?
So stupid.
I actually didn't watch the third one because I kind of got spoiled on the couples and stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But what happened? So like, no, basically it's a 0% success rate.
0% success rate, but the way that they ended the episode, Nick and Danielle looked like so happy together. Jarrett and Ayanna had like moved back in together. And so like, and then they show a little clip that's like since the end of this episode, Jarrett and Ayanna and Nick and Danielle have decided to go their separate ways. And I'm just like, what was the point of this then? Like, if both the couples have broken up, film a fourth episode. Like, Netflix will give you guys all the money in the world. They don't care. Yeah. Film a fourth episode.
Do a reunion style in a room or something. Yeah. Like, no big deal.
It was just so dumb. And then like Deep T and Kyle getting together and they're not together anymore. Like, they kept being like, there's so much sexual tension between us. And I'm like, I don't see that at all. I don't see it at all.
My friend who was watching it with me was like, I don't know if Kyle is attracted to Deep T.
He's not.
Or women. And I had not considered that because I do think that he actually thought Shayna was hot.
Yeah,
That's like my only explanation for why he stuck it out with her for so long.
I was going to say, I think you don't ignore that evolution isn't real and that someone's life is centered around God when you yourself are an atheist if you don't find someone attractive. Like,
if you don't just want to have sex with her, like
100%.
Clearly what was going on.
Yeah.
So like Shayna is married to that guy, Christos, right?
Yeah.
And the Shane and Natalie thing, like basically Shane and Shayna were flirting.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Which is like not a surprise.
No, they're not. They were. I feel bad for Natalie, but also like I'm kind of tired of this narrative, like of her and Shane, and I don't know how you could watch like that show and then watch the show back and then be like, yeah, let me give this guy another shot. Like, I just don't think.
Yeah, I mean, someone said to me that they think he takes a lot of Adderall.
Yeah, I could see that. His movements are just
which I don't know. I've never taken Adderall, but
his movements are so unnatural. Like there's something like very like he's not in control of his body, and I don't know.
Yeah, no, like he really isn't.
I don't know if that's like drug induced or if that's like some form of Tourette's. Like the way that he and I'm not dropping that to make fun of him at all. I don't. No. It just doesn't seem like he's in control of his body in kind of just a way that you don't see a lot in people. Like, he's not clumsy. He's just constantly in motion, constantly like licking his lips, but not blinking. And there's just there's something going on.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. Ultimately, I think he was kind of just like a dick.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah, I think he's just like a fuckboy, and that's it. Like, I don't really see much else about him. And then that house they went to looked really fun. I kind of wanted to go on that trip. Like,
it looked fun. The Sal's girlfriend was hated. I was like, this girl is unreal. The part where she like is like, I'm gonna talk to Mallory now.
Yeah, let me get this
like,
out of the way.
And she's like clearly wasted, and Mallory's just like, the look on Mallory's face. It actually made me appreciate Mallory a little bit more.
Yeah.
And Sal's just going like, I'm such a lucky man, and I'm like, what? Like,
also, they're not engaged. So what was the point of that?
Oh my God. I know. It was a waste of time, really. What's interesting about Love is Blind is that none of these people can go back on the show.
No, it's over.
Because they're known now. Like, you can't go on the pod and pretend like people don't know you.
Yeah.
Unless you had like an alter ego, which they can't do that.
Yeah, some like warped voice, because they fall in love with the sound of each other's voices. So you do have to keep that authentic, and you have to tell someone your name, and then they know what you look like. It wouldn't work again. But I just like, I'm not a Mallory fan, but if someone I was engaged to, no matter how quickly we got engaged, came to a party with his young girlfriend, and she's wearing lingerie to an 80s party, and they're making out, she's screaming, they're being just like overly touchy around me, I'm not going to be chill to you. I don't know why they expected her to be like buddy with them. Like, she doesn't have to be cool to them if this is how they're coming into the situation.
No, she doesn't. No, absolutely not. Like, I would be super annoyed with that woman if I wasn't engaged to Sal at some point.
100%. Like, I was just, I would not want to, I don't want to hang with that couple. You know, that thinks they're like the hottest shit. They walk into someone else's birthday party late to be like, look at us. Like, I don't want to be around that couple at all.
Oh my God. I mean, what she was wearing, I was like, I'm pretty sure if you move a little bit that way, I'm going to see everything down there.
Yeah, no, they all saw her crotch. Like, she definitely was putting it out there. But and then I go on his Instagram, and he's not engaged to her. So it's like, what's the point of all this? Like, I have a ring. He had this like intense conversation with his siblings, and they're so precious and enabling of him. And I don't know. I don't know.
I sort of feel like they just shouldn't have done those 3 episodes.
They were so pointless.
It was too manufactured. They were like pulling at stories that just weren't really there.
Yeah, and Jarrett and Ayanna, she was saying some things that, like, if you think that about your partner, it was obvious there was no coming back. So to have the episode with them moving back in together, like when she said to him, I love you, but sometimes I don't see the value in having you as a partner.
Oh my God, that was real.
Is like, and she's right. I agree with her, because he's not a partner to her. But that was like, you can't come back from once you said that part out loud, you can't come back from that.
I don't see the value of you being a partner. Like, that is it. And she said it with like a huge smile.
I know. Well, Ayanna like, too has been to a lot of therapy. So she's similar to Gabby in that way, where it's like, she has this.
She's very honest.
Yeah. She has this very direct way of saying the most emotionally devastating thing you've ever heard in your life. And he just kind of goes, okay. Like,
I know.
How is that not a call to action?
Like, Jarrett, like, if you think you're going to ever find a relationship that with someone who wants to have a family and stuff, and you're going to be going out till 7 a.m. like several nights a week, like, no.
It's also like,
it's never going to work for you.
You're a grown man. Aren't you tired?
Yeah.
Like,
aren't you tired?
Like, I was so tired hearing his schedule, and like, oh my God. It just broke my heart that she moved out, not because they were fighting, but because waiting for him to come home was too sad for her. Like, that's so sad.
It is. It really is. Like, I know. I wanted them to work out, and I'm also glad that they're no longer together, because they don't deserve, neither of them really deserve that, especially Ayanna, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last thing is the Adam Levine shit show that is going on, which, like, I was saying to Mary and Deanna earlier, like, every time I look at social media, there's 1 to 2 more Instagram models who have come out saying that Adam Levine has said inappropriate things to them via DM.
And some vague comment from him, too. Like, at first it was like, I was inappropriate, but I never cheated. Then it was like, everyone cheats, I've cheated. I'm like, what?
Oh, okay, so I saw that clip. Was that after the news came out, or was that from, like, an earlier time?
Oh, maybe that was from an earlier time. I thought that was in response to this.
I mean, there's so many things. There's that. Then I just saw that Behati apparently also cheats and they have an open relationship.
Okay, then don't call it an affair.
I don't know if I believe that one.
Like, I don't know. I think a lot of people in Hollywood have this kind of open relationship setup, but I think that you have to tell the other person you're sleeping with that you're open with your wife. Because if someone thinks that you're having an affair, somewhere in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, you know, maybe one day it'll be me. And that's, I don't know. There's
no slippery slope.
There's no one to like in this situation, really, like except for Behati and her. And I don't blame Sumner, the girl. Like, I think if a man cheats on his wife, it's on him. But I think she is reveling a little bit too much in the joy of telling the story and having the platform when there's another woman involved. It's not like her job to keep a man faithful. I'm not saying that, but you do have a responsibility to the other woman if you're going to come forward to tell her first, at least.
In such a public way.
Yeah.
I mean, of all the stories that we've heard now from 7 Instagram models or whatever, like, it is wild that he sent her a message to say, I want to name my child after you. Is that okay?
What kind of psychopath are you that you're going to find joy in hearing your wife say your mistress's name when she talks to her child? Like,
if I was Behati, even if we were in an open relationship, that would cross a line that would...
Oh.
When I'm pregnant, she is pregnant with this child right now. Like, I just can't even... Adam...
That's the worst part, I think.
Yeah. I knew he was a piece of shit, but, like, this just confirms it, like, way more than I ever thought it could be.
It's just like entitlement. Again, I feel like the theme of this episode could be like male audacity. Like, the entitlement to ask someone, can I name my child after you? Like, I'm sorry.
I'm going to name this episode The Audacity of Men.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I mean, and I'm just like, you think you're so untouchable in this social media day where anyone can take a screenshot and do whatever. And it clearly was like a pathology for him. Like, it wasn't just this one-time thing. He, like, reaches out to Instagram models who are really young and look a certain way and tries to get them to flirt with him. And he wants validation too. Like, nothing was more telling than when he says, you're 50 times hotter in person. I am too.
That was so embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. He's so embarrassing.
I just can't believe that's the man that wrote songs about Jane. I don't know. I just, like, he was so, but I do believe it's the man that wrote Moves Like Jagger. So I think there's two Adam Levines here.
That does compute, yeah.
There's full body tattoo Adam Levine, and then there's, like, songs about Jane Adam Levine, and we have to separate them.
I think, like, it's, I actually, like, you know, people can make their own decisions. I saw something from someone who had been cheated on very publicly who made a comment on his statement, which was, we will get through this together, and how, like, demeaning that is to the woman who has been cheated on, and, like, just to, like, assert that, like, we're gonna be fine. Yeah. It's like, no, that's not for you to say.
No,
like,
it's because I said so.
Her decision.
Yeah. You
like,
continue
all you
to
need
make
to say here is you're really sorry.
exactly, and like I'm sorry. I have my heart, like my heart's open to her. I'm gonna do everything I can. She doesn't have to do shit. She doesn't have to get through this with you.
You cannot declare that we are going to get through this together.
No.
Like, that is some bullshit.
Yeah, she can.
If I were her, I would be
out.
writing up those divorce papers so hard right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd be out. Someone was saying that Jessica Biel has, so Justin Timberlake was also like a habitual cheater. And
no surprise.
No surprise. And the first time it happened, she had a post-nup drafted up that said if he cheats again and he gets caught publicly, she gets everything. And I understand when kids are involved that people are more likely to try to work through it. Like if it's, not a pathological problem and there's something that you can work through together. But if you have to put a clause into your marriage that says if you embarrass me publicly, I get all of your money.
I get all your money.
In the back of my mind, I'm like, does this man just not want to be broke, or does he want to be in a relationship with me? But I'm also all for women getting a paycheck, so maybe that's bank on their own misogyny.
That's really interesting because, I mean, good for her.
Yeah.
And I think Bahati should do that or dump his ass and take whatever. I mean, I'm sure they have a prenup of some kind. I mean, she's really famous too.
Yeah.
But not on Adam Levine level, I guess.
No, I think like between like the production and the royalties and the tours, like it would be hard to touch his level of money. But I mean, this is their third child together. So that's a lot of money there too.
It just pains me as someone who is currently pregnant myself.
I know.
To think about her having to see, like, maybe she even knew or whatever, but for all the publicity and to be dealing with it when you're like in a really fragile state to begin with.
Just exhausted.
I feel so bad for her.
Me too.
I just. And some of these other people that are coming out, it's like, okay.
Let's not we're dogpiling on her now. Like we're and I'm not blaming them, but there is a hint of like this flex to be like the way that Sumner came out and said, I had an affair with a man who's married to a Victoria's Secret model was like, look how hot I am. I bagged a guy who had a Victoria's Secret model. And it's like, she's not just a Victoria's Secret model. She's his life partner and the mother of his children. Yeah. And you are reducing her down to this job that's like emblematic of her being hot to say like, well, I'm, can you believe it? And it's like, we can believe it because Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce. So we're never surprised at anything ever again. So
yes, we can believe it. And it's like, no, that doesn't make me think anything more about you.
No.
No. If anything, it's the opposite. And it's like you said earlier, it's like using another woman's pain for your own benefit, which is like especially like it's really in poor taste. And again, I just feel so bad for Bahati. So in any case, that's what's going on. I think we had a lot going today.
On. Well, there was something else I wanted to mention to you, but I forgot what it was.
Okay, well, there's always time in the future on this podcast platform. I will say, and Deanna's not here, but she'll find out soon enough. Someone tipped me off, and we already know there's going to be 2 South Asian housewives on the Roni reboot, Real Housewives of New York. But I just heard there may be a 3rd. So if that happens, that's like half of the cast.
That's awesome.
Which is wild. So I don't know if it's true. Deanna and I will discuss it more on the next pod. Hopefully there'll be more information by then.
That's awesome.
Even if it's just a friend of, that is potentially very exciting. Yeah. So that's a bit of Bravo news.
Also, Winter House trailer dropped.
Oh, yes. I watched part of it. I didn't watch Summer House. I didn't finish Summer House this year. And I didn't watch Southern Charm at all.
Oh, I still haven't gotten to Southern Charm. I've been watching the backlog of Love Island. Can't recommend Love Island season 3 more. It is
Really?
It's the season where they introduce Kast more. And it's...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's going to be my late night breastfeeding.
Oh, yeah. That's
binge.
like Deanna's hot tip is while you're breastfeeding, have some trash TV in the background.
And that's the ultimate because it's like literally like 55, 60 hours
and nothing
of content.
happens. Nothing happens.
Yeah, and you don't have to pay attention. You can be half asleep. It's like perfect.
Yeah. It's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, Cousin Mary, for joining me on the podcast today. We will definitely need to catch up at least once or twice during this season of Bachelor in Paradise.
I can't wait.
I'm sure there's going to be so much drama that comes out on and off the screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
As there always is. And then... hopefully by that point we'll be able to convince you to watch Zach's season.
I said I wasn't going to watch Clayton, and I said I wasn't going to watch Colton. I watched both, so the track record is pretty weak.
Yeah, you know, it's I respect the like even thinking like maybe this is my time that I'm not going to do it because I'm just so fully in. I'm like, I don't care who it is. I'm going to watch it.
Well, it's just like and I love talking about it. Like, what am I going to do? I'm going to give up one of my top topics of conversation. Like, I love being a Bachelor scholar. Like, they can't get the best of me.
It's totally, I think we deserve degrees.
Yeah.
If they start giving them out, I'm going to put my name in the hat.
And if I can find this dissertation about why women love The Bachelor, I'll send it so you can circulate it.
I wish they had interviewed me for that. I would have had a lot to say.
Yeah, I think she looked into like a lot of podcasts that are just kind of like, why the fuck are we watching this? But yeah, it would have been really fun to be part of that.
My gosh. Well, anyway, thank you so much for joining me, Mary. Thank you all for listening out there. Please rate and review, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.